I'm going to go ahead with the meeting beginning ritual.
起立，面向佛堂，参加三鞠躬、一鞠躬、再鞠躬、三鞠躬，参加各位点传是一鞠躬，开班一鞠躬，请坐下。Please be seated.
And once again, good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever y'all happen to be at the moment. This is Cowboy Bill. Welcome to the March the 18th installment of our Tao study group. As always, it is truly a pleasure to see all of you here with us this morning. And in keeping with some of my thoughts over the weekend, we should all express our gratitude to Derek and the temple for supporting these activities and helping us to move the Tao teachings forward and to spread those teachings to people who need them and have the affinity to hear them. I've been alive long enough to have actually seen firsthand the evolution of these teachings in America, and it is truly astounding how much misunderstanding and disinformation is available out there simply because of ignorance and the absence of the authentic teachings in the West for an extended period of time. So I really can't express to you how important what we're doing is here and how valuable and how precious this is to those who have the affinity for the Tao. For those who do not have this time around, perhaps what we do is to plant a seed of knowledge and understanding that eventually grows in to that karmic affinity for these teachings and helps bring people to the path of peace and the center path, which is a truly wonderful thing. I've seen an awful lot of people who have found and seen the value in the Tao teachings, and I've watched those lives be transformed as a result of them and have experienced that transformation myself. And it is a remarkable and wonderful thing. That being said, for the first time in 2 weeks, I actually have my teeth back, which is a wonderful thing, and I'm no longer sore. And so today we have the full-blown, hopefully 30-minute presentation. I need to get an alarm clock or something. Anyway, today's talk is live for today. This is at least a double-edged statement. As you know, there are a couple of ways to interpret that statement, and I encounter both of those ways relatively frequently. We have the extremes, one of which is, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die, or the philosophy of I can't control my fate or destiny, so I might as well just do whatever I want because I have no power over my life anyway. The third is one we hear actually very frequently, and it's the result of not understanding the teachings or of intentionally ignoring the meaning. And that is, there are no rules, so why bother with restraint? Why not just do whatever it is I feel? If it feels good, do it. That's nearly self-destructive, but it occurs remarkably often. The other one that I get all the time is it's in my nature to do or be and fill in the blank. Therefore, since it's within my nature, I don't need to change it. I just need to embrace it. This kind of thinking is pervasive in the world. It truly is. But it is not the Tao. And it is extremist thinking. It is either the accidental or understanding born or misunderstanding born of ignorance, or it is the intentional disregard for both the meaning of the teachings and in some cases just basic good common sense. And that presents a problem in modern life because it causes people to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do and to become things that they shouldn't become. There's an inherent danger in that kind of thinking because it brings people to activities that are not helpful or beneficial for them or others. But it happens just the same. The other extreme is the extreme of doing nothing. It is the I understand the Taoist teachings, and Wu Wei means accomplishing everything while doing nothing. This school of thought is specifically and usually intentionally wrong. The other one is the universe or God will provide. God will take care of me. The universe will give me what I need. Or the closely related philosophy of my thoughts create my reality. Now, I put an asterisk here because there's another view on that particular statement. But the point is this. One extreme is do whatever. The other extreme is do nothing. And neither of those extremes is beneficial. Neither of those extremes even remotely approaches the authentic Tao teachings. They are both traps for the human mind and spirit that ultimately lead to an awful lot of problems. There is the appropriate moderate view of the Tao. And this is the second interpretation of our thoughts create our reality. When one engages the mind to the accomplishment of a goal, then the thoughts combined with careful and well-planned action do in fact create our reality. It is not the imaginary reality of the philosophy of do nothing, nor the misguided philosophy of do whatever and things will be fine. This is the thoughts creating the reality in a context of carefully applied common sense and attention to the Tao teachings. Or if not that, whatever set of teachings helps an individual to moderate and to apply that action carefully. Every now and again in the process of applying those actions carefully, we're going to make a mistake. It's going to happen. We may fall down, we may lose, economic conditions may change, things may move one way or the other in an unanticipated manner. But those things, instead of becoming complete catastrophes, simply become opportunities to modify and adjust the plan and continue to move forward. I know that because I've owned two businesses in the last 20 years, neither one of which was completely successful. One of them went down in flames specifically due to a change in economic conditions. The other one, because of changes in the business philosophies of the hospitals that I dealt with. Those were things, occurrences that I couldn't really control, but because I had thought out what might happen if those things occurred, it wasn't a complete disaster. My family didn't starve, we didn't lose the house, the cars didn't get repossessed, all of those things that happen when there's a financial downturn or a change in business or whatever happens. I simply adjusted fire and kept going. But I did that because I'd thought the process out previously, and so I had a plan for what happened if. More importantly even than that is that each day of our lives is a gift. It's a blessing. It's not a promise. We assume every night when we close our eyes that we are going to wake up the next morning to see the sun come up. We assume that, okay? But in reality, that's a hope. It's a wish for the gift of another day. And because of that, we need to be careful and wise about our choices and devote ourselves with diligence and rigor to what we choose to do. Now, I'm not trying to sound depressing, and I'm not trying to remind everybody that we're all going to die, although I'm going to remind you that we're all going to die in a couple of slides. My point is that we need to approach each new day with a sense of real gratitude, real gratefulness for the gift of a new day and the opportunity to continue our lives. And each one of those new days is an opportunity for us to do something different. Every new morning is the opportunity to change in our lives what needs changing, to nurture and grow in our lives the things that are working and moving us forward, to help ourselves to refine ourselves spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and secularly, so that we achieve the goals and dreams that we hold close to our hearts. We get that opportunity every 24 hours, and it is a wonderful blessing to have that. The reason we only get one day at a time is because that's just about all a human being can handle at once. But because of that, we should renew that sense of awe and wonder at the universe around us and the divine essence that make those 24-hour periods happen in our lives. I understand that measuring time is a human construct, but the cycle is universal. And it's an opportunity and a blessing that we receive every single sunrise. It's not just sufficient to be aware of what's going on around us. We talk all the time about present moment awareness. Okay? Present moment awareness is a wonderful thing. But I think in a lot of cases it's not well understood and not well implemented. We need to engage in that 24-hour period that we're given. We need to engage with the people and the opportunities that our karmic path presents to us. We need to consider when and where we can, how and why those opportunities and people appear in our lives. Have you noticed over the path of your life that people have entered your life for a while and then moved on? Not just relationship-wise, but often in a context that might be described as much more casual. I've wrestled with how I was going to present this point because it's even hard for me to explain. But I've had people come into my life for a week, a month, couple of months, and the relationship that I had with those people was good and positive and beneficial on both sides, and knowledge was exchanged, and a good emotional connection was made. But at some point there, whatever needed to happen happened, and then they move on. And I wasn't left with a sense of loss or a question as to why they moved on. I just knew that was what was supposed to happen in that moment. Sometimes when that occurs, the question I'm left with is gee, what happened there and why did it happen? What was the purpose for that interaction? Other times, I understand pretty clearly what that interaction was supposed to do, because there was a mutual exchange of some description that benefited both myself and the other person. And sometimes I don't understand it at all. Sometimes people wander into my life just because they need some support. They need a little bit of assistance. They need something. And for whatever reason, I was convenient. I'm always happy to be convenient. I don't always understand the reason. But when we fail to engage, we miss the opportunity to be both helpful and convenient. When we allow our prejudices and negative emotions and thoughts to get in front of our karmic path and our love of the Tao teachings, our desire to follow that middle path, then we stop the process because we've judged the other person before we ever had an opportunity to find out why they wandered into our life. We should choose to pursue the things we're passionate about and apply discipline and rigor and practice to them. I'm not suggesting the single-mindedness of purpose that, for instance, the samurai applied to the activities they pursued, but close. If we choose to do something, it ought to be something that we care about, something that we're passionate about, something that brings us joy, that brings us happiness, that brings others happiness. I can't imagine, for instance, being employed at a job that I hated. My dad did that. It was one of the things that contributed to him being the person that he was when I was a kid, and it wasn't any fun. He worked for nearly 40 years as an industrial heating engineer, and he hated every day of it. He went to college for geology. How he wound up in industrial heating, I have absolutely no idea. But I know what it did to him. And he earned a good living for us. He supported his family. He did what he was supposed to do, but it destroyed him emotionally. He'd come home at night and have 3 scotches and sit down and watch a movie and go to sleep. It did not provide him satisfaction and joy and a feeling of accomplishment in his life because he hated what he was doing. That is no way to live. I refuse to do that. It's one of the things that has caused me to alter my life path over the years to make sure that I put myself in vocations and opportunities where I love what I do and I'm passionate about what I do. And I do love what I do. I write software, so I create something out of nothing every day. And it's a lot of fun. It's not for everybody, but for me, it's one of the most wonderful jobs I ever had. I think that's important. And that applies to more than just what we do for a job. We need to apply that same standard to our relationships, to our business dealings, to our financial dealings, to our dealings with our friends and other people, so that we don't wind up stuck in places where we absolutely do not want to be. But in order to do that, we have to be aware of what's going around us and engaged in those situations and not simply watching them go by. We need to remain humble and grateful for the blessings of each new day that come to us. And try to remember as that sun comes up that this is the day where everything can change if we want that to happen. And yes, we need to remain aware that one day this life will end. Not fearful of that day, but aware. You know, I truly do stand in awe of the greatness of the universe and the Tao of heaven. When I try to consider the scale and magnitude of those things, it really is extremely difficult for me to wrap my head around. My Chinese brother Mike, Wang Lu, used to tell me that the Tao had no edges and no corners. The first time he said that, I kind of looked at him like he had three heads. I didn't understand what it was he meant. Until I used the analogy of being a guppy in the center of the Pacific Ocean, and that kind of helped me understand what he'd said. It is so big, so vast, so huge and all-encompassing that even if it has boundaries, we will never see them. And so to us, the Tao of Heaven has no edges and no corners. Kind of cool. Every day of my life, I remember that I could have been dead 3 times over. And I am absolutely grateful for another day every day I wake up. I talk about spring here when every spring comes to Indiana like it's the first time it ever happened. But when it happens, I am so thankful that I was allowed to live to see it, that I feel a compelling need to share that with you, no matter how bad where my teeth used to be hurts. Knowing that my life will end helps to empower my mind and spirit to make better choices, good choices, wise choices, and to pursue living with passion and intensity. Why? Next point. Because I don't fear dying. I'm not wishing for death. I'm not hoping for death. I'm nowhere close to suicidal. Wouldn't hurry that day up by a millisecond. But when it comes, finally, I want to view death as a natural end of this life, and I don't want to die with a bunch of regrets and broken dreams and the question in my mind of, gee, what if I had done something different? Because if that happens the day that I have to die, it's way too late. And those are the thoughts that keep me motivated and moving forward when I have doubts, or when I get depressed, or when I feel like things aren't going my way, or when something really catastrophic happens. Those are the things that help me to remember what a precious and wonderful gift this life is, and how many wonderful things we can do with it. Thank you all so very much for letting me share with you, and I surely hope something I said was useful. Have a wonderful, wonderful, and blessed day.
So, Bill, thank you for that presentation. A quick question from Jan. My friend Jan is wondering if this is in writing. So to let everyone know, this is being automatically recorded. And so the recording of this will be posted to YouTube in several days. And there's a link with all the past recordings as well. Of course, you can always correspond with Bill and ask him questions.
Absolutely.
Bill, something you said resonated with me, especially when you talk about, one of the things that you hear most often from people when people say, well, filling the blank is in my nature, and I'm going to embrace that and go with it. And usually filling the blank is like, relaxation, inaction, delays, or putting something off, like procrastination. So people would often say, well, I'm just going to go with the flow, and, I'm doing things at the right time. That's in my nature, so I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm just going to put this off. So when are you going to do it? Well, I don't know. And just when it comes upon
that the right moment, and that's when I will take action. So usually what happens is that this action never takes place. So people feel as if they are providing a valid teaching of the Tao to justify inaction or justify procrastination, justify putting something off. So to sort of set the record straight, I want to point out for everyone that the Tao contains all, and every person is a multitude. So within an individual human being, there's always going to be that factor that, I'm just going to relax and go outside, lie in the sun, work on my tan, do nothing. That's within every person. There's also another thing that's also within every person, and that is, wow, I am excited, I am inspired, I'm motivated to get something done. I gotta take action now. When can I do it? Can I do it now? Let's do it now. That's also in every individual. So the reason why that's in every person, just as relaxation and working on your tan, is because every person is a microscopic reflection of the macrocosmic Tao. So you have, get it done now, or I don't feel like doing anything. You've got all of that, and you have that all at the same time. So when you say that you want to embrace something, you are really making a choice. It's not because being action-oriented is not in your nature. It's just because you are choosing to downplay that or ignore that at the moment. So recognize your part in that, in making that choice, and don't try to put it on Lao Tzu or the Daodejing or the Tao. It's really you. So in the Tao, we talk about being realistic, we talk about being practical, we talk about clarity. And clarity means facing up to your own responsibility in making those life choices, in making those decisions. If you are aware of all the different factors within you and you pick and choose the appropriate one, and it happens to be relaxation, fine. But don't make a mistake in thinking that your nature is all about doing nothing, and there's nothing within you that has anything to do with taking action. That would be fallacious. No human being is like that. There's at least a little bit of taking action in you so that you can manage to take the next breath. So that applies to all of us.
Let's go ahead and do the meeting ending ritual, everybody. 起立，面向佛堂，持架深鞠躬，一鞠躬，再鞠躬，三鞠躬，持架各位顶传十一鞠躬，斜翻一鞠躬。We're done, everybody. Thank you so much.